Hey folks, welcome to Flawedcast.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in this week.
Yeah, I'm here with Will,
As-
and normally he starts the things off, but I'm taking the reins here this morning.
It's going to be a different kind of episode.
I'm sure you hear the soberness in our voice, so I think we can go with an actual date, Sunday, May 31st, and the United States of America is on fire. It's pretty insane what's going on, and we really want to talk about it. And Bill and I have had a lot of conversation leading up this morning to this episode and how we were going to approach this, what we were going to talk about, and how we were going to say it. And we really wanted to start it by saying, folks, we're being deceived. We're being deceived by evil. We're being deceived by the devil. He is making narratives to get people to do his evil work. And some of these people think they're actually doing good. That's the false narrative that he's giving. Is you are doing this evil for good, and there's no such thing as doing evil for good. The reality is, we are in a fight of
Epic proportions
yeah. Of good versus evil. That's what all this comes down to, Bill.
Yeah.
It comes down to good versus evil.
Yeah. Well, the devil is the father of lies, and his native tongue is lies. And as we were talking this morning, I kind of was the bearer of bad news to Jason with the fact that it seems like, but as we sit right now, literally every major city in America is on fire and being razed to the ground. And there's not an occasion I'm arriving at right now that I think a cause for celebration is warranted. I'm deeply, deeply vexed. I'm deeply hurt.
I'm concerned.
I'm concerned, absolutely.
I'm concerned because people are being blinded right now.
Absolutely.
They don't even understand. They think they understand, but people don't understand.
Absolutely. And the problem with being deceived is deception, and deception is very deceitful.
Right.
And I've had a lot of conversations with people in just a short amount of time, and most people, I believe, have good intentions. But as the famous proverb says, the road to hell is paved in good intentions. And one of my favorite musicians is Lauryn Hill, and off her Unplugged album, she has a line in one of her songs, and the line, it's just kind of been reverberating in my head. It says, "The truth comes, but you can't hear it because you've been programmed to fear it." And I've just been thinking about this. Everything in 2020 has just been nothing short of mayhem and madness. There's nothing in history to compare on the scale what's going on right now. This whole COVID 1984, this whole, and just it's just so much. And it's
not a hoax as much as it's blown out of proportion.
Yeah, thank you.
So they took something that's real
and manipulated it.
Talk about making a mountain out of a molehill.
Right.
That's exactly what they did.
And I don't want to get on that right now. That this isn't what we're but nonetheless, what we are here, and Jason and I have come to the conclusion that we need to speak on this with this platform that we've been given. And when it comes down to it, for us, our understanding, we are literally in combat right now with evil. And that's not, I'm not mincing words. I'm not trying to be...
If anything, it's an understatement.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be poetic. I'm not trying to be eloquent or use any kind of allegory or a metaphor or simile. The spirit of evil, the spirit of darkness is on our land. It's on our doorstep. No longer do we have the option to turn a blind eye or a deaf ear. We have been forced, whether we know it or not, that to get in the arena. And if you're running from that, I'm saying with much respect in my heart, I believe that time that you're going to have to be in that arena is soon coming upon you.
I want to make something clear. Good and evil are colorblind. They're just good and evil. And I'm saying that because of what's going on. Folks, it's simply good and evil. We have to quit creating other narratives because that's the deception going on. Evil is creating other narratives to divide the thought of good versus evil. But there isn't one, folks. There's good and there's evil. I mean, I really...
You're speaking very forwardly, simple, very plainly.
But it's that simple.
Right.
And it's not as complicated as everyone wants to make it. It's not, folks. Good and evil, and be good.
Well,
Be good. Take care of the fellow man.
Here lies the complicated part in that. Understanding what evil and good are, because many of the conversations I've been having are well-intentioned people, but they're succumbing to the deceitfulness of evil masquerading as good. You know, the Bible says that the devil comes as an angel of light. The Bible, the truth of what Jason and I, base our lives on is the precept of the scriptures. The idea that devil's not going to come to you with his horns and a pitchfork, you know, like you see in the cartoons or the movies or whatever, because then you would know, right? The whole thing with evil is deceptive. It is, you know, it is subtle, and it masquerades as something that is palatable that people would buy into, because if it weren't, otherwise we'd be like, nah, dude, get out of here.
So what was that movie with Keanu Reeves, the lawyer?
Devil's Advocate.
Devil's Advocate. So the movie Devil's Advocate is a perfect example of that, Bill. About, if you watch that, it shows you just how deceitful evil is, right? So the devil came to him in the form of a journalist who just planted seeds in his head. And then he came in another form to help him foster those seeds and give him an opportunity that seemed unbelievable, which was unbelievable. Great opportunity, right? But that opportunity was not good. It was evil. And it started way back actually with his mom, if you watch the movie, right? How his mom was deceived.
Spoiler alert.
That's how he was. Yeah, I mean,
spoiler alert.
This movie's old, so if you haven't seen it, watch it. But,
well, it's actually kind of a loose remake of another movie, Angel Heart, which is a little more. Well, I don't want to get off topic, but your point to me,
it's not going to be. It's not going to be like Bill said. It's not going to be, you know, the devil showing up with horns and a pitchfork.
Right, and evil is never that.
And it ties right back to what Bill said with the fact that the road to
hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah. It's deceitful. It's deceit. Evil is deceit. That's
sure.
what it is. And we're being deceived, folks. Everyone.
We all listen. All of us. I would even you and I. I mean, you know, so we're not. I just want to put this out there. You're listening. We are not immune from what's happening. But I would like to think that at this point, without jumping the gun, we're trying to take a step back, trying to use some rationale, some critical thinking, some just not to get. Respectfully, to get whipped up in a fury of emotions, try to be calm and respond versus react to what's going on. Look at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is as we wake up this morning, as Jason came to my house, and I had to break the news to him that every major city, including our beloved Cleveland, is being razed to the ground.
I was completely unplugged yesterday. I went golfing in the morning. I came straight back from that, took a nap, and had a fire outside. I literally was unplugged from the world yesterday. I guess I picked the wrong day to be unplugged from the world.
Or the right day.
Or the right day.
But nonetheless, I just want to start to get into things. And
I want to say something else. Keep your thought. I want to say one thing. When we're saying that we're all being deceived, we're not calling anyone out in this episode. This isn't about calling out people being deceived. We're all being deceived. You know, keep in mind what our motto is, man, and it's get in the arena.
Right.
And what we're saying is we're not calling people out for being deceived. It's again, this is Flawedcast, right? The idea is, like Bill said, take a look at what's going on, get in the arena, and work on, all of us need to, Bill, I, everyone, at not being deceived, at seeing the truth and looking for the good, I guess. I just want to make sure that people understand that we're not calling anyone out. We are saying we know we're all being deceived, all of us.
Sure,
everyone,
absolutely.
including the ones talking here, we're all being deceived. And we really need to get in the arena right now.
And that's the thing. Like Jesus said, watch and pray that you will not be led into deception. There was that foresight. Obviously, he knew. If I were to say anything outside of what our notes, just kind of off the cuff, watch and pray that you'll not be led into deception. So with that being said, if you could, Jason, read the first portion of Scripture. We're going to talk about the Good Samaritan. Now, why is this important? Because people, especially of faith, like to believe that the Bible never talks about race or racism. And that's as far as I'm going to go with that subject in this episode, because this episode's about evil. This episode's about division. The Bible says the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And that's what we see happening right now. So that's what we are trying to illuminate. We are trying to expose the deeds of wickedness.
Right.
And bring you. Yeah. Just bring unity.
Yeah, just as God works through us, good works through us, so does the devil and so does evil.
Absolutely.
Evil people don't have to always be evil. You know what I'm saying? They can be good. So what I'm trying to say is we need to pay attention. Even though sometimes we think we're doing good, we could be doing evil. That's what we're talking about here.
So if you can go ahead and just read that portion real quick, and then we'll kind of come back and just touch on a couple key points.
So this is Luke 10:25-37 from the Amplified Bible. And a certain lawyer, an expert in Mosaic law, stood up to test him, saying, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus said to him, "What is written in the law? How do you read it?" And he replied, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." Jesus said to him, "You have answered correctly. Do this habitually, and you will live." But he, wishing to justify and vindicate himself, asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?"
There's just so much, even those last two sentences, that we can even talk about.
So Jesus replied, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he encountered robbers, who stripped him of his clothes and belongings, beat him, and went their way, unconcerned, leaving him half dead. Now by coincidence, a priest was going down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise, a Levite also came down to the place and saw him, and passed by on the other side of the road. But a Samaritan, foreigner, who was traveling, came upon him, and when he saw him, he was deeply moved with compassion for him, and went to him and bandaged up his wounds, pouring oil and wine on them to soothe and disinfect the injuries. And he put him on his own pack animal and brought him to an inn and took care of him. On the next day he took out 2 denarii, which is 2 days' wages, and gave them to the innkeeper and said, "Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, I will repay you when I return." Which of these 3 do you think proved himself a neighbor to the man who encountered the robbers? He answered, "The one who showed compassion and mercy to him." Then Jesus said to him, "Go and constantly do the same."
The one who showed compassion and mercy. The one who showed compassion and mercy. The one who showed compassion and mercy. The one who had no cultural or religious ties showed compassion and mercy. The one in this story who was not bound by a creed or philosophy showed compassion and mercy. The one who was not from his lineage, the one who had historical grievances between their cultures, showed compassion and mercy. This is our mandate. Obviously, this man was wronged. He was beat up, assaulted, he was robbed, was taken advantage of. That is injustice. That is gross injustice. And as we understand in the time of Christ and before, as we see now, injustice happens. It's inexcusable, but it is a part of life. What is something that we have control over? Are we capable of showing compassion and mercy, even to those that we have no perceived allegiance to? And I say perceived allegiance because we are all humans. White, black, young, old, male, female, rich, poor. We are all humans. We all have commonality. We all suffer. We all have joy. We all have hopes, dreams. We all have similarities. The similarity, I would hope that if anything could come of this, is the understanding of being able to show compassion and mercy. Let that compassion and mercy in the face of injustice outshine that injustice. That's what I hope we're able to convey. Now, I guess to kind of address the elephant in the room, we are talking about the murder of George Floyd.
The murder of George.
The murder of George Floyd. I want to.
Who was murdered by.
Who was murdered by.
Human.
Who was murdered by a human.
A man. That's all that an evil doer. It's good versus evil, folks. That's what I want to make clear with my saying that. He was murdered by a man, and that's injustice.
That's.
And we need to
unarguable and inexcusable injustice.
And we need to have compassion and mercy, and that's how we need to show it. Not more injustice, not more evil.
Right.
And that's where we're being deceived. That's where the deceit's coming in.
And to really kind of quantify things, and I just want to gloss over this, not to pay honor or homage, but because this isn't the point we are going to get stuck on here. So if you don't, honestly, if you don't know about George Floyd, it's not going to be that difficult to find information about him. But he was a man. He was a resident of Minneapolis, Minnesota, who, for whatever reason, at this point, I don't really know that that's what we need to focus on. But he was detained by a Minneapolis police officer, Darren Shuverick, I believe you pronounce. I can't really pronounce his name, so I apologize. He detained him in a manner that was horrific. The man was handcuffed, put on the ground. The police officer's knee was placed on his neck along his carotid artery, and as Mr. Floyd kept screaming, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." That eventually was the primary contributing factor to his death. And this was videotaped. It's been seen around the world. I wanted to vomit. I was angry. My initial reaction was...
You see someone murdered, you get angry because I love people in general.
My initial reaction was I would like to think if I was there, I would have ran over and tackled the cop. It's, you know, so once again, I don't want to get caught up. Most people listening by this time know what happened.
Right.
There is something else I want to bring and I want to illuminate, not to stoke any fires, not to poke any bears, but to illustrate the point that evil is not relegated to this or to that.
And it's, again, I'll say this again because I think this is really important. Good and evil are both colorblind.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask Jason to read the quote, but the article says, nursing home abuser made video asserting black people are supposed to rule the earth, in quotes. If you could just read that real quick, because this is something that's been ignored mostly by mainstream media. And the point is not, once again, stoke the fire, poke the bear. The point is that evil's mask is interchangeable.
That's right. It's colorblind.
It's shape. It has no shape. It has no form. It has no
form.
Right.
Nothing. So footage emerged of a man, later identified as 20-year-old Jaden Hayden, beating up a defenseless elderly white man by repeatedly punching him in the face. Hayden uploaded the video to his social media accounts, but after the clip started to go viral on Twitter, he was quickly arrested by police. Content Hayden had previously uploaded to his YouTube channel suggested he holds black supremacist beliefs. The black race is the chosen race. The black race was supposed to rule the earth, but now they have to go to the white man for everything, and that's not good, Hayden says in the video. There's no
it's evil
chosen race, folks.
No, the human race, right?
That's
and
right.
So
the human race. Let's say it again. The human race.
The human race. And I showed Jason these videos. There were 3 videos. There's 2 elderly men and an elderly woman. The woman was 70. The 2 men were in their 80s. This gentleman was in golden gloves. He was a boxer. And the same anger, the same visceral gut reaction as I watched this video with Jaden Hayden came back to me as I watched Darren Chadwick, or whatever his name is, kill George Floyd. The same anger.
Actually, I disagree with that. For me, not for you. I was extremely angry when I saw the video of whatever his name is beating up the old people. Disgusting. I felt more angry, and I think it has to do with the fact that there's a difference between watching someone get beat up and someone get murdered. Mama, I'm just saying.
No. So maybe I should unpack that.
Right. To watch this, I was more angry for a couple. Well, if you look at it, both.
Well, I just recognized it was evil. I was angry at the evil, not the end result, because it's what that is.
I get it, but I want to make this clear. Jaden Hayden was a assistant at this nursing home. He was someone who was supposed to be there to help and protect the other people,
like the police officer
living there. Okay, that was his job, to protect and help these folks, and instead he punished them and beat them. So he took a position of good and did evil's work. And this is the same thing that happened with the police officer and George Floyd.
Yes.
Someone who's supposed to be there to protect and serve the public, which I'm going to say most police officers do. All right, I also want to take a second here to throw that in. There are many, 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 many good police officers. I'm so thankful for what they do. And this person took his good position,
his authority,
his position of good to help others, and was used as evil and took a man's life. That's how I see it. When I see the one video, it is someone who is supposed to be helping and protect people beat them. And when I see the other video, it's someone who's supposed to protect and take care of people, kill them. I don't care who those people are. Either way. And if you watch the videos, you'll see that they're different people. It doesn't matter. It's good and it's evil.
Right.
That's what we're talking about.
And that's what I meant.
Can't say it
right. And that's what I meant. Like I'm like, the same spirit that was working through Jaden Haddon is the same spirit that was working through this police officer, and that it's that spirit that made me angry, and I would like to think rightfully so. So when I say that, what I mean is
the same spirit that makes us angry every time we see someone being
whatever injustice it
evil,
is,
whatever that injustice is.
Right.
It's, you know, and folks, I can't say, I want to just, this whole episode can be wrapped up in, we have to start looking at things as good versus evil, because the evil right now is trying to divide us. We've never been so divided in so many different ways. It's dividing us by race. It's dividing us by political views. It's dividing us by sexes, all these different things, right? Evil is trying to wither its way into the cracks and create these huge gaps to divide us, because divided we fall, okay? We have to understand that we are a human race, and there is good and evil, and that's where the focus is.
And that's where the ultimate plan that, we're talking about evil. Obviously, we're talking about Lucifer. We're talking about Satan. We're talking about the father of lies. We're talking about stealing, killing, and destroying. And ultimately, that plan is that a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. These are all things that Jesus talks about in the New Testament. The idea that our reaction to evil should be, that is not right. I would think that's a normal response. Now, the Bible also says, be angry, but sin not. Jason, if you could read the next verse from 1 John. In my studies the other day, I came across this verse, and I thought, God really orchestrates everything, and this is going to kind of lead into the next thing we're going to talk about in this episode. But this particular portion, I think, really helps to pinpoint, like, understanding the idea of light and dark, good and evil, right and wrong.
All right, so this is 1 John 2, 7 through 11. Dear friends, I am not writing you a new command, but an old one, which you have had since the beginning. This old command is the message you have heard. Yet I am writing you a new command. Its truth is seen in him and in you, because the darkness is passing and the true light is already shining. Anyone who claims to be in the light but hates a brother or sister is still in the darkness. Anyone who loves their brother and sister lives in the light, and there is nothing in them to make them stumble. But anyone who hates a brother or sister is in the darkness and walks around in the darkness. They do not know where they are going, because the darkness has blinded them. You couldn't pick a better. I'm going to read it again.
Please.
Dear friends. I'm going to skip that. I'm going right to 9. Okay? So John 2, 9 through 11. Anyone who claims to be in the light but hates a brother or sister is still in the darkness. Anyone who loves their brother or sister lives in the light, and there is nothing in them to make them stumble. But anyone who hates a brother or sister is in the darkness and walks around in the darkness. They do not know where they are going, because the darkness has blinded them. The darkness and light here is what Bill and I continue to refer to as good versus evil. Darkness is evil, the light is good, right? So I'm going to read it with those two words instead. Anyone who claims to be good but hates a brother or sister is still evil. Anyone who loves their brother and sister is good, and there is nothing in them to make them stumble. But anyone who hates a brother or sister is evil and walks around in evil. They do not know where they are, because they are blinded by evil.
Two wrongs don't make a right. Violence begets violence. I think there's so much we could talk about, but this is important for me to express. I'm a huge Prince fan. I literally probably the biggest Prince fan I know, and I think most people that know me would know that. I love Prince, and it's just been this thing with me that I try to own everything I can of his. So Friday, there was a new box set released from his estate, which had a couple albums that were limited release. They're live albums, and I got them yesterday, which was the 30th, May 30th. They came out
yesterday. This is nuts, guys. So I want to make that clear. That this is an important part of the story.
This is a very important part of the story.
Got this live box set.
It was released May 29th. These are albums that were on a limited release in the early 2000s, right after I'm such a dork, but listen. They were released right after the Rainbow Children album, which was a very poor selling thing he released independently. But nonetheless, these are just limited things. They're out of print for years. So the Prince...
These are live.
All live albums. So there's one song in particular. It's called Anesthesia, and it was released off the 1988 album Love Sexy. The big hit off of that was Alphabet Street. So that album Prince put out because he originally planned to put out what was called the Black Album, but he was convicted. Prince was Jehovah's Witness. He was convicted that it was too sexually charged, too racially charged, too whatever, and he didn't put it out. So he put out this Love Sexy instead. The last song of Love Sexy is an album or a song called Anastasia. What I do, my routine is I get up in the early morning and I let my dog, Shandy, take me for a walk. We go for about 4 miles. And this morning I was deeply, deeply troubled. And normally I'll listen to like music to help me like pray, to help me think of, okay, God, like just help me. What is it you want me to do today? Speak today, whatever. And I just didn't have any leading to listen to anything. I just was like, I need to hear from you. I don't know. Even this morning, I'm like, I knew something that we needed to address about this, but I didn't know what. So I'm about 3/4 of the way. I have my iPod because that's how I roll. I really felt like God said, put on this song. I'm like, okay. So I put it on. I started listening to it. And I'm like, yeah, I know this song. I grew up with. I had the cassette when it came out. That's that. I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. But there's a portion of this, and I've never heard this particular version of this song before. I knew this song, the studio version, but I never knew the live version. So as I'm walking, I'm listening to this, and there's a portion where Prince just starts talking. And I'm going to read to you exactly what he said during this. And it says, this is Prince talking. Prince Rogers Nelson, one of my heroes, one of my favorite musician of all time. 20 churches in a 1 mile radius. Everybody's at different churches worshiping different ways. Oh, we should champion our diversity. We should champion our similarities, not our differences. We should meet at a higher level instead of looking at white, black, rich, poor, young, old. Differences. Let's meet somewhere higher. Now here's the thing. Anybody knows anything about Prince, even on a face level, Prince was born and raised in Minneapolis. At that moment, I literally started crying. I stopped in my walk. I said, all right, I know what you're saying to me, God, is that one of the sons of that city was speaking to us in a way, if you will, from beyond, in a way to me that like God was like, listen, we got to champion our similarities. And our similarities at this moment is we need to unite under the banner of good, under the banner of light, and understand that the war we're facing, the enemy, the opponent, is evil. It is darkness.
What's really crazy about this story that Bill's sharing is, again, this album was released, or these tracks, whatever, were released yesterday.
The 29th, May 29th. The box set was released May 29th.
So it was released May 29th, and this part that we're reading from you is not part of the song.
No, it's not. It's part of the live version that was just released on, not the original album, the studio version.
This has never been.
Never
been heard.
I've never heard it.
Obviously, it's been heard before because it was a live version, but it's not been released to masses this way, right? And all of a sudden, on May 29th, as Bill was saying, one of the sons of Minneapolis, it's released at 30 years ago.
Literally, when the fit is hitting the
30
shed.
years ago. That he says this, and I want to read it again because it's like, if this story doesn't tell you that this is good, right? That's what this is. That this is
providence.
I don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so 20 churches in a 1 mile radius. Everybody's at different churches worshiping different ways. Oh, we should champion our diversity. We should champion our similarities, not our differences. We should meet on a higher level instead of looking at white, black, rich, poor, young, old, differences. Let's meet somewhere higher. Man, I mean,
I don't the most appropriate thing that you and I have shared outside of in 1 John 2 is this.
Yes.
It'd be easy for Jason and I to say we are so different.
You wouldn't believe how different Bill and I are.
Right. It is so easy to minimalize.
But what Bill and I are is the same thing everyone listening is. We're all part of the human race. We're humans. That's what you need to see. That's what you need to not just see, but be looking for, is humans. We're humans. We're all humans. And we've got the choice to be good humans or evil humans. And it doesn't mean we don't make bad decisions or wrong decisions. There's a reason why we call this Flawedcast. We can all be deceived, and we are all deceived. And right now, all of us are being deceived. At least most of us are being deceived. I don't want to say all, maybe someone's not. But most of us are being deceived, and you can't tell that you're being deceived because it's called
It's deceptive
for a reason.
Right, it's super deceiving, right?
And it's just happening in an unbelievable way right now because evil, Lucifer, the devil, whatever you want to say, however you want to describe it, is taking opportunities to divide us on many, many, many levels. Some by race, some by sex, some by
well, like Prince
beliefs,
said, white, black, young, old, rich,
right,
poor, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Whatever Lucifer can, whatever crack he can wiggle in to create gap between us is what he's doing. He's not trying, he's doing it. And we have to, as Prince said, go to a higher level.
We have to meet on a higher level.
We have to meet on a higher level.
Right.
And we have to realize that we're all humans. We're human race. And we have to, as in John we read, we have to love the brother and sister. You can't.
Well, it says if you hate your brother and sister, you walk in darkness. Or even Jesus was talking about in the tale of the Good Samaritan, compassion and mercy. And
we can't claim to be in the light, but yet hate a brother or sister.
Right.
We can't do that, folks. And we're all brothers and sisters. We're the human race, period. That's where it stops. And the devil doesn't want you to stop there. The devil wants you to be divided and put into groups, and us to group ourselves into different things, so that what we do is, because when you're in separate groups, what do? You fight. And the more fighting and the more chaos that the devil can create, the more in control evil is. And we have to stop that. And only we, the human race,
with God helping us,
with God, can stop that, can stop the divide.
Well, and the reality of it is, and the part I didn't get to share.
United we stand in this country.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we need to remember that.
Absolutely. And the part I didn't get to share, which inspired the title, is right after I heard that and I just stopped, I literally started sobbing in the middle of the street. I really felt like God spoke to my heart and said, justice and love are blind.
100%.
Right? So we're claiming justice. We're claiming justice. Love. But what we got to realize is it's blind. Right? So I'm trying to think really how to unpack that any more clear than what that states.
If the point to me, what I thought was most important to get across here today in our episode is we have to stop the divide. We have to stop being divided. We have to unite. Unite is one. We have to unite on the good front versus evil. Evil doesn't unite. Evil divides. Good unites.
Right.
And we need to unite as human beings and stop the evil. We can't fight evil with evil. That is chaos. We have to quit dividing. We have to quit labeling.
Well, evil
has to stop.
Evil fighting evil is more division.
That's all we do now is label.
Right. Well, evil fighting evil is more division.
No, I get
it's self-defeating.
Right. It's more evil.
Right.
But what we continue to do in our society, especially over the last decade, is we create labels for everything. Well, all we're doing is dividing. We're just dividing. We are finding new ways to divide each other, to divide ourselves. We are. And that is evil. We have to stop dividing. We have to stop being divided. We have to quit labeling every single thing to make it different. Right? And part of the problem is, and this is evil too, is, okay, that with YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and whatever the hell else is out there, we keep showing how different we are because I don't know why. But, we're brothers and sisters, folks. Yeah, we are all individuals. I understand that. But either united we stand or divided we fall. Right now, I've never, ever experienced the type of division that we have right now. It's almost hard to fathom, and every day it gets worse. Just, again, going over all this with Bill this morning, talking about it, looking at it, that's the thing that just overwhelms me.
And I wish you could have seen
how divided we are.
And I wish you could have seen Jason's face as he was looking like, oh my God, Oakland, Orlando, Denver, Seattle, Cleveland, Columbus.
And smaller towns, Raleigh, North Carolina, okay?
The White House was stormed.
I mean, folks, we're so divided right now. And what's happening is people are reading those articles, and instead of getting angry with evil, they're using it. That's the only division there is.
It's fueling the division, as you're right, because there's either the camp where it's like, well, they shouldn't be doing this, blah blah blah, or there's the camp where it's like, we're entitled to do this. And I want to say something this too. If we look at what Prince shared, we need to celebrate our similarities. Yeah, we are different in many ways, and that's not anything that should be overlooked or ignored. But what I think Prince was saying is we really probably do have more in common than we do that separates us, but it is those divisive things that we don't see eye to eye that, the devil wants to get in there, that evil wants to use to pry us apart, to make us think that there's this chasm that is impassable, that we can't come together in some middle ground. And one thing I can say is this: I'm not met, I'm not read, I've not heard anyone that said that George Floyd did not have a horrible, gross misjustice happen to him.
No.
Everyone
agrees with
exactly.
That. Like everyone I've talked to, everyone.
White, black,
every human.
Red, purple, polka dotted, man, female, whatever.
Everyone can see very clearly that he was murdered by an evil person. And from all accounts, he was a good person. He definitely didn't deserve to be murdered.
I read a story about him helping the pastor of his church hauling out big tubs to do baptisms in the middle of like a underprivileged neighborhood and stuff like that. And it's like, if you listen,
folks, I just gotta say this: we don't need to take either of the two news stories that we talked about today, which is George Floyd and
Jane Hayden.
What we need to do is not allow these to divide us.
Right.
We have to allow them to unite us. We have to be united.
In the pursuit of fighting evil.
That's right. We have to be a united front to beat evil. We can't beat evil divided. You can't beat anything divided, okay? We have to unite together. No one's okay with evil that goes on in this world. No one good is okay with it. But let's don't attack good people who don't agree with it. Let's don't be more evil. Let's unite as good.
It's literally like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Look, there's this fire. We got to put it out.
Again, our goal here isn't to call people out. It's to give the understanding that evil is dividing us and giving us false narratives to make us feel like we need to do this to show this, right? And the reality is they're making, the devil is trying to make us as people, we're divided. So he takes his different groups and he's trying to say, this is good to this group when it's evil.
Right.
But they believe they're doing good. And this is good to this group. And all he's doing is dividing us, and we end up fighting each other.
And that's the thing. In Matthew 24, and Jesus talks about, the end times. And this isn't supposed to be an eschatological episode. We can talk about that in the future, hopefully. But Jesus said in the last days, people will be lovers of evil and hate what is good. And this, I'm sorry, I see this. I really do. And once again, we're not calling an individual person out. The only names that we've mentioned are George Floyd, Darren Chauvin, and Jaden Hayden. These are all people that, except Mr. Floyd, the police officer and the nurse assistant, those people were influenced and under the possessed or whatever you want to say with evil, this Luciferian, satanic, antichrist spirit that does nothing but perpetrate evil and inflict harm and destruction and murder and mayhem. That is the spirit that we are encountering and engaging in. And if we allow ourselves to be, like the Bible, I said earlier, the Bible says, be angry but sin not. Justice and love are blind. If we say we want justice and we adhere to the principles of the universe, we adhere to the natural laws that God established, and even in our country being subjugated to, everybody has the right to a fair justice system, that proceeding. Now, the evidence is there. One of the things that the district attorney in Minneapolis said that this officer was arrested in the rain in 3 days, which is the quickest time ever in Minneapolis history. So justice may go slow. In this case, I think that's quick. And that's a wonderful thing. But justice does go slow sometimes, unfortunately, not as quick as we like. But justice and love are blind. The Bible says that God's justice flows like the ocean tide. And what that means is that it's even. It's even. It's consistent. I'm hurt. because I want to say, do better, love better, be patient. I'm not, this isn't an excuse for injustice. Injustice happened. Horrible injustice happened.
And unfortunately, it will continue to happen. Injustices happen.
And as we read the story of the Good Samaritan, we see that injustice happened in the days of Christ. And even before that, the story of Cain and Abel.
Right.
And
but we have to, the only way that we can overcome this, folks, I just can't say enough, is we need to unite as one human race. We have to stop the division. It's up to us. It's up to us. It's up to us through God to stop the division throughout our country and throughout the world. But we have to stop the divide. We have to stop letting people divide us on the different fronts. What I mean by united is you are an individual to feel the way that you want to feel. And I'm an individual to feel the way I want to feel. However, I don't hate you because you're my brother or sister. I don't hate you for the way that you think or feel. I don't hate that. That is not divided, folks. Divided is where we hate each other over it and where we can't discuss it and be, folks, we have to unite, not divide. And the devil is just trying to divide us over small, stupid things, and we allow it. We have to stop allowing it. We have to focus on the good. We have to talk about the good. We have to get to a higher level, as Prince said, and focus on our similarities. We have a lot of similarities.
We're humans.
Humans.
We're Americans. We acknowledge that there was a gross injustice with Mr. Floyd. Right there are three big similarities. That's how we have to those
identify.
Three similarities alone are enough to propel people into wonderful, wonderful things happening. And if we continue to be tricked, if we continue to buy into the ruse that is being perpetrated through politicians, through the media, but that is being originated and created through the devil, we lose. We lose. That's it. And we're going to, right now, as I'm looking at everything and I'm just praying, like, I don't know how to stop what's going on. We've literally possibly have reached this event horizon in American and in the world history where it literally could be a tipping point. I'm not speaking that. I hope it's not. We're already in a bad economic downturn, and we got major cities, almost every major city in America is burning right now.
Well, and I want to say this because I think how we get in the right path, again, is by uniting. I want to ask this, everyone listening. When you look out your window, when you walk by someone, when you see another human being, do you look at them and ask yourself or tell yourself what's different about them to you? Like why you're different? Or do you look and see how you're similar?
It reminds me of, in the book, but more visually shown in the movie The Outsiders, with Ponyboy and Cherry Valance. And, they're like, she's a very rich, beautiful, he's kind of, he's a greaser, there's this world, between them. But, they have this weird connection that kind of like this, like, yeah, we live under the same sky. Look up, you'll see the same stars. We're looking at the same sun, the same moon.
Breathing the same air.
And at this point, I don't have the only solution I can offer. I would say that we can offer. Please take a breath, take a step back, and examine your heart. That's it. I'm not telling you how to think. I'm not telling you what to think. Examine your heart. I think collectively we need to do better. We have to do better. All of us.
And I can't say it enough. United we stand. We have to unite, folks. We have to unite.
And
we will continue to be divided, and that equals destruction.
Right. And this is right now, this is the fight of our generation. This is it. This is the fight of our time.
We're trying to ask you to get in the arena. And getting in the arena is thinking for yourself and making decisions for yourself. And I do know that if we don't unite, destruction and evil are going to prevail, and we can't allow that to happen. We can't. We have to unite on a front. And we have to unite on a front of good, of the light, right? And we have to shun the darkness and the evil. It's going to happen. And the only way that we beat evil, and evil's always going to be there, we can't defeat it permanently. We can't get rid of it, but we can keep it down. Because right now it's raising its head. It's roaring. And we can push it back by uniting as one. The more divided we are, the more powerful evil becomes.
Well said.
That's all I got.
That's it. All right.
Thanks, folks.